Next, we'll break down the Wuji posture. Wuji, as we spoke about before, is everything's home, where everything comes from and returns to. It's where yin and yang reconcile so completely that everything becomes one and nothing can be distinguished. For us in our physical practice, it has to do with our passive stillness. Wuji is everything coming to balance and stillness. Very much like as if you could think about dropping a pebble into a pond. It creates ripples. The rises are yang and the dips are yin. But when that pool once again becomes placid, now once again you have Wuji. You have that point from which everything comes from, the highs and the lows. And that analogy is going to carry us through our practice and help us to understand the role that our Wuji posture and mindset will play in the rest of our Tai Chi. With the feet shoulder width apart and parallel, you imagine a string holding you up from the top of your head. Keep your tongue on the roof of your mouth and continue your breathing. We're going to use this breath to relax from the top down through the body. A good image is to imagine that as you breathe, energy, especially on the exhale, is washing down like water along the inside of the body, along the inside of the rib cage, along the inside of the limbs. And as it does, the limbs naturally relax and slightly bend so that your energy can sink down evenly into the floor. There are a few important aspects of this alignment. The first one is the crown of the head. Understanding that we want this posture to act as if we were hanging, as if there was a thread holding us up into the air, and that the rest of our body could simply relax and hang on that without collapsing. This point at the crown of the head is called the Bai Hui point in acupuncture, and it's a very important point that we want our energy to be able to rise to, drop from, and circulate through. A great way to think about this point is that you breathe from the low abdomen and let your breath rise up through the spine and just fill all the way up to the top of your head, feeling as though you are lengthening up and growing taller. Once you've breathed all the way to the top, imagine that that thread holds you to the sky, anchoring you there and giving you the chance to relax the rest of your body without feeling like you have to hold yourself up. As you exhale, we relax the first of our series of relaxation points, the shoulder well. The shoulder well is located between where the collarbone extends and the shoulder blade wraps around. It's in the space between that goes down through the upper rib cage and allows relaxation to continue down on either side of the body. We've spoken a little bit about yin and yang as a concept. Now to see one of the first things that we use yin and yang to look at is the body as if we were cutting it straight in half down the middle. Cutting it straight in half down the middle, we see the right side and the left side as balancing yin and yang. For instance, if there's a lot of tension buildup on one side of your body, that side of your body has excess yang energy. Or if there is a collapse or a lack of structure or some weakness and alignment in the left side of your body, the left side of your body would be experiencing excess yin energy. By standing in Wuji, just like the concept implies, we're allowing our yin and yang aspects to naturally come towards a balance, so that the right side of my body will begin to become more yin as I relax, and the left side of my body will get the proper amount of yang as it gets into its structure. This structure is simply found by beginning with anchoring the crown of the head and relaxing down through these 2 points at the shoulder wells. That relaxation continues down through the arms all the way to your fingertips. The next point we're going to look at is the point called Clyman. Clyman can be found just below the chest, between the centers of both sides of the chest and where the ribs begin to separate. On either side, if you take a deep breath or you arch your upper back, most of us can feel where the ribs separate poking forward. That area we want to relax and allow to sink down. As a matter of fact, the feeling of moving from shoulder well and relaxing down to Clyman is a lot like the rib cage being like holding a slinky. One rib at a time hanging down from the other, like rings just dropping in relaxation all the way around the body. So we don't just relax the front, and we don't just relax the back or one side or the other, because that would bring us away from yin-yang balance. Yin-yang balance is about things being even and symmetrical, and so we relax on all sides of the body. The next point in our structure is the Zhangmen point at the floating rib or waistline. When we relax Zhangmen at the waistline, remember we do it as an entire ring. So we also end up relaxing Mingmen, which is right here on the lower back. By relaxing the waistline and lower back, we begin to release the pelvis and lengthen the spine downwards, remembering always to keep our anchor point at the crown of the head. As we do this, we relax our hips and pelvis, and we actually begin to somewhat sit down through the legs. A slight bending in the knees, and a slight bending in the hips, and a settling and lengthening down of the pelvis all the way around. So we don't want to tuck our tailbone, nor do we want to stick it out. We just want to let the tailbone lengthen towards the ground. When we do this, we have to relax the inner hips or the inguinal crease, where we have a point called Qi Cheng, right where the inner thigh meets the groin. Relaxing here and all around the waistline allows the pelvis to settle. Remembering to keep the feet parallel is going to allow the hips to rotate naturally so that the pelvis can settle evenly. Now we're hanging from the crown of the head all the way down. Those are the breakdown of the relaxation points. Moving forward, we want to make sure that as we continue to breathe using our Qigong breath and stand in our Wuji posture, we continue to think of relaxing from the top of the head down through the body. And this relaxation, as I said before, is as if we're melting on the inside, or as if warm water was washing down through the inside of our arms, our legs, and our torso, from the top of our head down to our fingertips and to the bottom of our feet. Continuing to do this with our breath is going to help us to continue to relax and release excess tension. With every inhale, filling into any area that feels tense, and every exhale, melting that tension away and letting it run down through the structure of our body into the floor. The next important aspect of the Wuji posture is the vertical axis. Remember the Bai Hui point at the crown of the head holding us up like a thread into the air. Well, that thread continues to move down through the center of the body, down through the pelvic floor, and in between our feet. This vertical axis of alignment is almost like a physical manifestation of the idea of Wuji, with front and back being yin and yang, with right and left being yin and yang. So along this axis, we can either be too yin by moving the head back, away from that vertical axis, which a moment ago was holding me up from the crown of my head, but was broken and now only moves to my chest. So that's the direction of gravity. And if I move and break my posture by leaning in different ways, I'm going to lose my vertical axis, and therefore, in terms of my posture, I'm losing Wuji. Wuji, not only the point that everything comes from and returns to, not only stillness, where everything can come from at any time, pregnant with all possibilities, but it's also that place of center, that centeredness of being, and that centeredness of our physicality as well. Putting all these things together, you have several elements, all of the elements, that we can talk about on the gross level of Wuji. Beyond that, you must just continue to breathe and relax, to continue to think about your Qigong breath, your vertical axis, and the various points in the body that we talked about relaxing and releasing so that the spine could naturally lengthen and the breath could be free in the torso. Once that's done, continue to practice. Start with 30 seconds of practice, build up to a minute, eventually up to 30 minutes. A great way I found to practice Wuji standing meditation is to stand up on commercials in between your favorite shows. But if you don't watch TV, then any time in a comfortable place where you feel like you can go inside, and concentrate and just breathe.